Okay.
I got it, dude. Don't worry about it, bro. It's all good. Okay. It's AHTV and Friends again. And we're just waiting on one more dude to pop in, which I think he will soon. But for the time being, it's me, Tim, and next to me, Steve Mothersole, a boy from UK, and beneath him is Reece from We Are the Girls in Claret and Blue podcast and the show on our network. And next to him and beneath me is Irish Tommy. Yeah, man, Irish Tommy's the first winner of the tournament. He's going to be facing off against Katie and Gina in the second round. There's only one more match left in the first round before we head into the second. And that match, the last match of the first round, is going to be Jazz, who we've had on the show before. He's a wild card in the tournament. And against...
In more ways than one.
Yeah, tell me about it. Yeah. And we got, Baz Cox, who had to switch places in the tournament with Charlie Walsh. And then they are going to be going up against Ian Bishop. So that's going to be awesome. And the winner of that will face Charlie Walsh and Alex in the second round. So anyway, we got people in the chat room already. Nice to see you guys and girls and everybody and dogs and cats. But yeah, still waiting on one more guest. But anyway, we're going to get right into this. Search through some news and stuff like that. There's not a whole hell of a lot going on, which is kind of frustrating, very depressing, actually. The stuff that's being put out there in all sorts of forms of social media and also just news websites, it's fucking rubbish, and it's kind of sad to see a lot of the stuff that's getting made up because it's stretching isn't even the word on half this stuff. But anyway, we're going to start off with the more factual things, or the more likely to be factual things, and that would be Yarmolenko wants to stick around. He was quoted as saying that he wants to stay. So if he wants to stay, you keep him in the summer or whatever. When I refer to the summer, that is whenever the season ends. Really, there is not going to be a summer for anybody really. But so when the season ends, whenever that is, Yarmolenko, would you sell him? You want him to stick around? You think he's got potential? Do you think he's just a waste for you to cash in on him now? Let's go clockwise. So we'll start with Steve and go around. What do you think, Steve?
Yeah, I think I'm in a minority here actually, because I actually quite like him. I rate him as a player. I think we should keep him. I think he's very skillful. He's not the quickest, but in my opinion anyway, he's very skillful. I would keep him.
All right, Reece?
If he was able to stay fit, I'd agree with Steve and keep him. However, he can't. So I think it's time for him to go and find a new club. There's nothing more you can say about that. He just can't keep fit. When he's on the pitch, he's one of our best players, but he's a bit like Wilshere. If he was fit and ready to play every week, he'd probably be one of the first names in the team sheet. But he can't stay fit. So unfortunately, we have to get rid of him because Moyes is going to be under pressure next season whenever that comes up.
Yeah.
Or for the remainder of this season to get results and get results early.
Yeah. Just so everybody knows, this is Luke from Irons United. He popped in. He was the one I was waiting on to come on in.
Hi, Luke.
Welcome, Luke. We're just going over some news topics this show, and we're starting off with the more realistic ones and then finishing off with the more outrageous stretches, whatever you want to call them, as we go along. But right now we're discussing Yarmolenko saying that he wants to stick around. So when the season's over, we're talking about, hey, would you sell him or would you not? But we're going to go with Irish Tom. We're going clockwise, so it's Irish Tommy's turn. And then you got next up, okay? So Irish Tommy, what do you want, man? Would you want to keep him, sell him? You think he's a waste? Cash in now? What's up?
Well, like Steve, I actually quite like him as a player. I think he does have ability. He's attack-minded. He does like to get into the box. Does like to get shots off. So I have no problem with Yarmolenko in that respect. But again, like Reece said, I think he's correct, is that you have to worry about him as regards injuries. his ability to stay fit. Also, he's getting to that age where you just start thinking he's likely to start falling off in his performances. He's on the downward kind of part of his career, I would say. So while I like him as a person, and he's a good pro and he's a decent player, I just think if we're going to get anything for him, now is the time. Well, he still has some value. I think he's a player that right now we could still find a buyer for. And plus, with the addition now of Jared Bowen, I'd rather see Diangana come back in and be another player for that position on the right wing. Obviously, Antonio can go back out there as well if needs be. So I think he would be a player we don't particularly need to hold on to. And I think Moyes is going to have to sell some players to add to his transfer kitty. And I would say Yarmolenko is one of the prime candidates.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Luke, what do you think, man?
First of all, can you hear me?
Oh yeah.
Right, okay, good. Because this didn't work last time when I tried to do StreamYard with my earphones. I've got an earbud in and it didn't work. It works. That's great. That's good. Good. That's worked. Yarmolenko is weird because when he's on form, he's a really good player, and I think it was the early part of this season where he was scoring quite a few goals in the games. I think with Bournemouth and Norwich. He was on like they were calling him the Ukrainian Robin because he just played it from the right hand side and bang it in on top corner. And he was looking like, okay, now he's got some fitness, now he's getting some game time. He's looking dangerous. And then out of nowhere, he wasn't getting played, and the club weren't really being very open about it. They weren't saying, "Oh, he's injured, he's this, he's that." And I think it was after an international break, he didn't really come back in time, or he was a bit late getting back on the line. But I think the points that Tommy just made was valid. Bowen's come in, he's hit the ground running straight away, looks lively, he's young, he's really young, and that's like West Ham don't normally buy as good young players. And if they are young, they're not good enough. Diangana's been a bit injured this season for West Brom, but when he was fit, he was amazing for him. So I'd maybe give him one last chance because I think Yarmolenko is a good player on his day, and he's definitely got the ability to score goals. But like most West Ham fans say, he doesn't get a consistent run because of his fitness and whatever else. So it's a bit of a shame, really. We've got the best out of him.
The only other thing I was thinking actually there, Tim, was that if there's not going to be a huge amount of money in the transfer kitty, which we all suspect there won't be, Moyes might actually decide to use Yarmolenko as a striker, as a backup striker, rather than as a winger. Because at the moment he doesn't seem to fancy Ajeti.
No.
So he could actually just use him as a forward.
I would love that. I would love to see that. I would rather see him stick around for, like Luke was saying, one last chance. Just because we've seen his brilliance. It's not like Wilshere, where Wilshere has actually played matches for us and didn't really do a whole hell of a lot. But Yarmolenko's scored goals for us. We've seen it. We've seen what he can do when he's healthy. That's the difference. So it's also a matter of, well, does he fit Moyes' system? I don't know. I mean, he scored goals for Pellegrini, really. I know he scored a few against Bournemouth. But I mean, my point is, I think that we should give him one last chance if Moyes can see him fitting in his system, because we don't need someone else like that lingering around, being put in a different position where he doesn't belong or where he's not suited. I mean, fans were crying out when Pellegrini was still manager that Yarmolenko should be given a chance up top because that's what he does for Ukraine. That's what he does. That's where he bangs in his goals as a forward, and never got that opportunity with us. So I don't know. I think we should give him a shot. But at the same time, it depends on how much we cash. Depends on how much we can get for him. I mean, if it's 15 million or less, I don't know. I mean, if it's 15 plus, we should probably consider it, I guess. But that also depends on, are we selling Rice and Diop in the summer? And then we're not going to need any money in the transfer kitty for anybody. We can keep everybody, literally everybody else, and just go from there. But that's, again, it all depends. But I mean, I would prefer to see him get another shot. All right, so Go ahead.
But one thing you have to remember, Tim, is Yarmolenko's 30. So if you wait another year, where you could get about 10 million now for Yarmolenko, and you run the risk of keeping him for another year.
I say that about Antonio every fucking year. I'm like, this guy, like, when are we going to cash in on this injury-prone guy that only, like, he'll pull a great goal out of his ass, and then that's it. That's all he does. And then after that,
you can't want to sell him. You can't want to sell Antonio, surely.
No, I have. I've had every single summer. I'm like, let's get rid of him. And now's the time before he's too old. We're not going to get any money for him. And then
Luke, there was a time, Luke, not that long ago, you know, when Antonio's form wasn't that hot, and a lot of us fans were thinking, you know, now would be a good time to cash in on him and replace him. But you know, since he's come back in the team after his last injury, and his form has been good. But there was a time when fans weren't as hot on Antonio as they are at the moment.
Yeah. And I think it's too late now. My point is, I think it's too late now. That's the whole thing. So I don't. But I was calling for that. And yes, I see what you're saying, Reece. But my point was that how can we say that about Yarmolenko, but not say that about Antonio? When Antonio was injured half the fucking time too, only plays about 60 minutes a match. And if he's out there for 90 minutes, just because I don't know what the hell he was doing, all huffing and puffing most of the time. But that's really it. So anyway, next topic before I get fucking lambasted by everybody. So let's see some links coming in potentially. How about this one? This one, there's some ridiculous ones that we'll get to. So we'll talk about Goetze and Brathwaite, like, because we'll rag into that shit a little bit. But the first one that I want to talk about is Liverpool's Loughran. I want to talk about that. I saw that somewhere today, and then I can't remember what friggin' site. Could have been Daily Mail for all I know, or Hammers.news or something like that, or Football.London. I don't know. But the point is, I saw it. And but we're not the only one in the running, I guess, for him. If he is to come up for sale, I guess Tottenham are in there as well. But if it was us and we were to spend 22 million or whatever they were saying on him, would you take it? Would you go after this guy? Would you want him in the squad? Do you think he'd fit, etc.? So let's start with Luke and go backwards this time.
Is this Braithwaite, is it?
No, Loughran from Liverpool.
But we didn't link with him, have we?
Yeah. It's all ridiculous, but yeah, we have. Would you take him? Would you spend 22 million on him? That's what they're saying.
Do you know what? All these links, I've just completely switched off, because to me, there's no window happening before the season finishes. I'm so used to the season finishing and then we're getting linked.
Oh, I know. Definitely.
Yeah. For me, Loughran is the A, it would be stupid to buy him, and B, even more stupid for 22 million, because that's ridiculous. We just bought Bowen for like the same amount of money, and he's a decent player. And my mate's a huge Liverpool fan, and he's loving this season, obviously, until this virus starts to go over. And he, every time the thing comes out, I think they've had a couple of centre backs, Matip and Gomez, who normally play alongside Van Dijk. Yeah. But when Loughran plays, he's like, "No, we're going to lose." Or he's nervous, and I'm like, "How can you be nervous? You're like 20 points ahead in the league." He goes, "No, Loughran makes everything iffy. He makes players nervous. Apparently, Van Dijk has to work twice as hard at the back, stuff like that." And I think Loughran could have been. I think when he was in the World Cup for Croatia a couple of years ago, he was like performing really well for him.
Yeah.
And then he come out in the press and said, "I should be classed as the best defender in the world." And in the next game after he said that, he got absolutely mullered by Mbappe in the World Cup final. He lost it. Ever since then, even before that as well, he was pretty poor. But he could have been something. But he's again, that would be West Ham going backwards, because if you're buying a player purely because he plays for a top club, no matter how good or shit he is or whatever, and then going, right, we'll give you loads of money then just to make sure he gets in. And this to me screams season ticket renewal news, just to try and get people to renew. Oh, look at this player, we're buying him from Liverpool. Yeah, okay, he's from Liverpool, but he's shit. So
the Carriers, yeah. It's like if you had the choice between one or the other, like you were gonna sign one of them, unfortunately, just because they're from Liverpool. Which one would you take?
Oh, I don't know.
That's tough.
Do you know what I'd do? I'd roll a dice, because Carriers is like we just got rid of Roberto, and
he's only 26 years old. The only positive, really, and the fact that he's played against some of the best clubs in the world.
Do you know what? I'll probably go for Lovren, because Karius, it would be like shitting on Randolph if we just got Karius in, because Randolph's going to be the second goalkeeper, and you got Martin, who's the third goalkeeper. You know, he's done all right. He's made a few mistakes maybe, but Lovren, buy Lovren and then never play him. That would be my choice.
Irish Tommy.
Yeah, David Moyes should be sacked on the spot if he spends 22 million on that donkey. Like, he's an accident. He's an accident waiting to happen. He's just so mistake prone, gets caught out of position constantly. As Rebecca says, you know, he's 30. I know it's not as big a problem for a centre back as maybe for players further upfield, but no, I just don't rate Lovren at all. Anytime I've seen him step in to cover for Gomez or Van Dijk at Liverpool, he's been very shaky. Yeah. There's a reason Klopp is getting rid of him, you know, this summer. It's because he knows it too. He knows he needs someone steadier in there, and that Lovren is too mistake prone. But Liverpool have this amazing ability, and fair play to them, to overprice their cast-offs and find a club who will pay it. They do it all the time. I don't know how. They put ridiculous prices on their cast-offs, and they get it.
Yeah.
So we're going to have to be absolute mugs if we're going to give them 22 million for Lovren. I don't want him at the club at all, to be honest. So it's a hard no from me.
It's all marketing power. I mean, branding power. That's the fact that they are. It doesn't matter if the cast-offs. It's the fact that they last played for Liverpool. That's how they can get their money, the money that they want. Otherwise, they could just fucking, you know, cut ties, like pay them off, get them out of here, or just keep them around. You know, not play them at all.
Yeah, but, it's kind of like, you know, when people pay 200 quid for just a cotton T-shirt because it says Gucci on the front, but it's just a cotton T-shirt. Yeah.
Yeah. Reece, what do you think about Lovren?
Firstly, I don't believe the rumor, because I think it would just be going so many steps backwards. And if you listen to what Moyes has been saying, he wants to build around youth and not has-beens. But to sum Lovren up, he makes Liverpool look shit. So God knows what we'll do if he comes to us.
Yeah. Steve, any thoughts on this?
Yeah. What value would he add? Forget where he's coming from. Just what value would he add to West Ham if he was to come to us? I mean, I don't know if you ever listened to Gio and Gonzo on Hammers Chat.
Oh, yeah.
But Gio has a mantra of whoever you're bringing in has to be an upgrade on the person they're replacing, rather than just like a one-for-one. So who would he be an upgrade on?
They were saying Barno might be leaving. That's what I'm trying to pull up the article right now. I'm trying to find it because I know I saw it. Saw this somewhere. I'm not making this up. Oh yeah, so it was Hammers.News.
Given that we're not probably going to have a huge amount to spend in the summer, I just don't see Moyes blowing 22 million on Lovren.
No, and if he did, is Lovren an upgrade on Ogbonna? If it is Ogbonna, he's replacing.
It basically says that according to an exclusive report from Team Talk, West Ham are interested in signing Lovren, the Liverpool centre back, but could face competition with Tottenham and Arsenal. This is so full of shit. Oh god. The Hammers will undoubtedly be looking to bolster their central defense ranks this summer, since Ogbonna will be 32 years old in May, and Winston Reid's future is far from uncertain. And Issa Diop has been linked with a big money switch to Arsenal. So that's where this is coming from, I guess. So basically,
Ogbonna is an Italian centre back. He can play till he's 40, no problem.
And by the way, Thibaut, I saw that acting reel that you put up on someone's Facebook yesterday, and I had no friggin' idea how talented you were. Very impressive stuff. No, seriously, like he had a nice little acting reel put together, and obviously it's not recent, but it was really nice. Anyway, the fuck we talking about? Oh yeah, Lovren. Fuck them. All right, so I'm not even gonna get into it because you guys already made all my points. So, yeah, Hammers, not only do the Hammers want to, but it looks like it's likely that they'll be able to extend the Souček loan deal. That's what I saw somewhere else. But anyway, we're going to go backwards again. We're just going to keep going around. So, Steve, what do you think about this? You think it's a necessity? You think we should just flat out sign him, or just try to loan him out again? Or
no, just flat out sign him.
Yeah.
As far as I'm concerned, he's proved himself already. You know, and they were talking about shaping him as a future West Ham captain once Nobes is done, which would indicate that perhaps Rice's future isn't with us. But no, I rate the guy. I think he works really hard. He's a good midfielder. Keep him.
Yeah, and this article is actually Hammers on News again, but according to a report from Claret and Hugh, it says that West Ham should have no problems extending Souček's current loan deal. Blah, 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 June 30th. Who knows? We'll get into all that Premier League, when it's going to restart, when it's not later, and all the bullshit rumors we heard about that as well. But anyway, Reece, Souček. Is there a lot of importance in this? Like, should we just flat out try to sign him like Steve's saying, or should we just see if we can finagle another loan deal? What do you see likely happening?
No, we should flat out go out and sign him. He's improved our team. He works in Moyes' system, and it'd be the perfect replacement for Noble if he was to retire at the end of this season. So why wouldn't you try and sign a replacement that you've already got and you know works in your team and works in your manager's system? And he's also somebody I think that can build a really important relationship with Declan Rice going into later on in this season, if it is to happen, and build on to next.
Tell me.
Yeah, I have to agree with Reece and Steve there. I've seen enough from him as well. He looks quality. So if I'm David Moyes and Sullivan, I would sit down with him and say to him, look, we think you're a quality player. We've seen enough from you. We'd like you to sign permanently regardless of what happens going forward. I think he'd be up for that. I think he would sign with us regardless. And obviously Slavia Prague will take the money because they wouldn't have made this deal in the first place if they weren't willing to sell him to us for that price. So I would try and get this deal done straight away. I would want to get him in. Yeah.
Luke.
Yeah, I found it strange that we didn't sign him outright in the first place. Wasn't he a captain at Slavia Prague?
Yeah.
It's quite strange.
And the Czech Republic.
Yeah, it's quite strange that you'd loan. I know obviously a loan to buy, but it's quite strange for the first place that they even let their captain go on loan, unless they thought, oh, well, it's quite a lot of money if it still goes through, and they'd be confident he'd make it in the team anyway. But I was gutted when he went off against Liverpool, because I think we would have probably beaten Liverpool if he hadn't come off in there. He was keeping that team held together like glue, and then once he went off, I think it was just Liverpool went right. Let's go home. Let's take it out of him. So yeah, he's going to be. I'd like really. As much as I love Noble, I could have Souček in the team right now. I'm just saying, Noble, you'll play when you can, maybe have a few cup games here and there, but we don't need to rely on you anymore. And I think even Noble said that in the press after we went out the cup. And you know, to have Rice and Souček in the midfield would just be brilliant for me. I know that there's a rumour that Rice has been linked with Chelsea. To me, Rice is going to go to one of the big boys if we don't start achieving something, because I said before the season even started, if we don't finish in the top 8, all these players are going to get linked away, and they are probably going to go. So unfortunately, again, we're fighting relegation. So we need to sign players like Souček in the class, because otherwise we're gonna go backwards anyway. So yeah, sign him up, get it done.
Yeah, definitely. So the only reason why this article even brought up, or even Claret and Hugh for that matter, brought up this whole loan issue was just the fact that if the Premier League decides to do something in July or August, that's past the end of his loan deal, which is June 30th. So that's the only reason why they took that and made it this big ass fucking article. But basically, sign the guy, like everyone else here said. the guy's a worker, and he's proven that every single match. I got to luckily see it firsthand against Liverpool. The first one was Liverpool, or was it Brighton? I can't remember. But anyway, he was putting a shift in, man. He really looked like he was giving an effort, like he wanted to impress the fans, and that you could just see in his face. You see in his effort, see that he just wanted to do well right straight away. He wasn't just going through the motions like in our lair and oh, the pass went by me, oh, pouty me, and oh no. And no, he was moving, he was running around all over the place, trying to do something, trying to make something happen. Those are the type of players that we need. That's the energy that we need. That's what Mark Noble's legs are not allowing him to do anymore. And everybody needs to stop with the whole, oh, but I love the guy. We're so indebted to him and everybody else. There's a lot of players in this squad that we could do without. 100%. If we want to actually move forward as a club, if we want to, look toward being a European competition, club, there's a lot of players in the squad that we could move on that do not. I mean, their bodies just don't let them do what they want them to do anymore. And we should be looking for replacements, period. And Souček, definitely, 100%. So anyway, next. Fucking. Oh yeah, this is one of my favorites. We were linked with Martin Brathwaite. Why in the fuck were we linked with him? And how on earth did he end up in Spain? How? I know. Yeah, he got in a plane and he flew over there. I know. I don't need those people in the chat room saying that shit. I know. But no, seriously, how did he end up signing with the clubs as big as what? Was he with Barcelona, right? Yeah. How the fuck did that happen? And secondly, why do we want him? Where would he fit? And is this just another bullshit rumor that we've seen? The answer is yes, yes, yes. Anyway, Luke.
I think we were linked with him when he was at Middlesbrough, and Middlesbrough fans were going, "Can you just take him for free? Just get him off our hands."
Seriously.
And then they sold him to the Gunners, and then for those that don't know, there's a rule apparently that if emergency transfer wise, you can go and buy a player from the league if you outside the transfer window if you desperately need it. And for the life of me, I can't see Barcelona with their amazing youth academy having no one better than Braithwaite. And then they signed him. I've had no idea if he played a game for him, how well he played, if he actually was pretty good for him. I don't know. But all I know is that Middlesbrough fans have always said, well, he ran around a bit or something of that but then didn't get anywhere and he was pretty poor. We seem to be doing this lately. We seem to be linked with a lot of championship players, and he was a championship player obviously at Borough, and then I think they were trying to. There's a lot of fans going around saying, "Well, all these links come through because they were trying to think of, if we go down, we'll buy a load of championship players that'll be, good nick, and we can go up again from that position." But I don't know why we've been linked with him again. But maybe because he plays for Barcelona. A bit like Lovren to Liverpool. They play for a big club. Let's try and link with them to the club, and then we can sell a few more tickets because they think these players are going to come to us. So, no, I don't want him basically. In a nutshell, I don't want him.
So with Leganes, this season he played 24 matches, had 6 goals and 2 assists in La Liga. And with Barcelona, he's played 3 matches with no stats whatsoever. Not even a card, nothing. Just 3 matches, no goals, no assists, no yellows, no reds, nothing. Just three appearances, really. And no, he didn't play a match with Middlesbrough this season. But even over the last couple seasons, in 2018-19, he scored just 3 goals in 17 appearances. And then the year before that, 17-18, he scored 5 goals in 19 appearances. But that season, he also split with Bordeaux and Ligue 1. And he had 4 goals in 14 matches. But anyway, so 18-19, he spent half the season at Leganes. So yeah, he's in a total, he scored 7 goals in 30-something appearances between Middlesbrough and Leganes. And that's, I guess, what got the interest in or at Barcelona. But still, He's 28 years old. That's another one, you know. So that means he'll be 29, and then he'll be 30. And you know what I'm saying? Like, why are we going after people? These fucking old bastards. I mean, yeah, I wish I was 28 again, but I don't know what I'm talking about anyway. I don't even know what I was just said. So, Tommy, take over. Brathwaite, I don't know, whatever you want to say about him.
Yeah, I think we're all on the same wavelength here. I'm not sure if there's any truth in this. Obviously, you get linked with a lot of players, but the only thing I could think of Moyes might be looking at him is that you can get him very cheap. And maybe it's not an area he wants to spend a lot of money in. He just wants to pad the squad, you know. But Braithwaite, to me, you know, quality-wise, is probably should be playing his trade mid-table in the Championship, where he could probably do okay for a team down there. But he's got no business playing in the Premier League, and certainly shouldn't be playing for a team like Barcelona. So, no, it's, again, another hard no.
He's a striker that can't even score 10 goals in a season with championship clubs or, you know, fucking mid-table, you know, French league clubs and you know, even that Leganes, whatever the fuck. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, he's a kind of a typical journeyman striker that never does particularly well anywhere, but just keeps moving clubs, and so he has a career at the end of it. But you know, he's never excelled.
Got a good
really.
agent, you know, fucking linking him with all these clubs. So yeah, it's probably bullshit. Reece, bullshit guy worth a penny. Like, what do you think, man? Where would he fit?
Well, if we're thinking of signing him, we might as well keep a Jetty at the club because he is terrible. I've seen him at Middlesbrough. Exactly what Luke said. He runs around a bit, and that's about it. And it's just this question would show a sign to everybody of how far do we want to take our team backwards if we sign players like the ones we're being rumoured with. But this is literally journalists being so desperate for news sources, linking with a club that basically sign players on the end of their retirement. And
just wait till the next one.
I'll tell you honestly,
wait till the next one.
I'd rather take a punt on some young striker in League One that maybe will become something, and just take a punt.
Like Jordan Hugo.
I don't know if I want to pay $9 million for that punt, but you know, if we could get someone for, you know, half a Hugo from League One who looks very promising, a youngster, I'd rather do that than sign someone like Braithwaite. If it doesn't work out, you've spent $4 million on some kid, and so what? Big shit. You know, at least. But then, you know, if it works out, and it turns out actually he's very good and a really good backup striker, then it's kind of, you can't lose really.
Yeah. He's an upgrade, Bradley. There you go, folks. Steve, what do you think, man?
I don't really know. I don't know a lot about the bloke, to be honest. Only what I've read.
Well, there's your answer.
Apparently, yeah, exactly. And apparently, this has come from Spanish media anyway. So I don't know if there's like someone inside Barcelona saying, "Oh shit, we made a mistake. We need to out the geezer." Yeah. But he's, like you say, his stats aren't fantastic, are they?
All the usuals ate this up, though. The Daily Mail, the Sun, our good friends Green Street Hammers, Hammers.news. I mean, there's a lot of people picked up on this a few days ago. So yes, it's a few days ago is old news. The thing that I'm most excited to talk about, because I was telling Reece before the show that this next gentleman that we were linked with, I remember this year playing, football manager. And I can't remember what club it was, but it was like a championship club. And I ended up getting in the Premier League. And I think it was year 2 or year 3 in the game that this guy came available. And I don't know how. And I'm like, wow, it's a big fucking name. And the guy, you know, I can actually sign this guy. The club's, you know, he's interested in signing. I'm like, fucking, hey, I signed the guy. And he was horse shit. He sucked, couldn't fucking cross a ball. It was brutal. Anyway, Mario Götze. I think that's his name, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Fucking Borussia Dortmund. Yeah, we're linked with him, apparently. I'm going to go try to find this one up here. But how, first and foremost. Secondly, why would he want to come to West Ham? How does he see himself fitting in a club like this? And especially with our ownership. And I mean, yeah, maybe he sees us selling a few big names and raking in some dough that we can afford to pay him. Because he's gonna be like a 6-figure a week guy, you know. Mm-hmm. So, Steve, what are your thoughts on this? Would you be interested if this was half fucking true?
I'll be interested, definitely, but would he really want to come to us? You know, he's at Borussia Dortmund. He plays for the German national team. I think this is a pie in the sky, isn't it?
Yeah, well, it says could join West Ham according to Bayern Munich and Borussia Dortmund legend. ... Fucking clickbait. Anyway, who the fuck this is? But no, I mean, Everton, West Ham backs. Everton's included in this, and Reece did mention.
Oh, here we go. Everton and West Ham again, is it?
Yeah. It's always Everton and West Ham, isn't it?
Yeah. So, I don't know if we had if we did go after him. I mean, it would probably not be cheap. Again, the guy would definitely be a 6-figure a week guy. But where would he fit? You know,
on the left. He can play on the left.
Yeah.
Isn't he an attacking midfielder though? Isn't he?
Yeah, he can play on the left side though. He was often deployed on the left side for Germany.
Apparently, according to the Evening Standard, his contract's up this summer, so maybe that's one of the reasons.
How old is Götze now?
He's gonna be 30, isn't he?
27.
Really?
27.
His prime. Yeah, he's in his prime.
Yeah, he's a fine.
Next is Bradley, and then the 29, and then 30. So we only have a few years out of him. I don't know. Someone in here, I love what Foshizi said something about. I like him, but he's a replica of Lanzini at current speed since his injuries. No thanks. Somebody else said something funny about him. He's a dead player like Schürrle. Yeah. So I don't know. What are you saying, Tommy?
Yeah, I like Götze. He's definitely got ability. But like I say, he's had a rough time of it the last couple of seasons. He has had some injuries. His form's kind of fallen off.
And it'd be costly. It wouldn't be cheap. You know that.
It would be another punt. It would be a gamble, a roll of the dice kind of transfer. If it paid off, it would pay off huge, because he's very talented. But if it didn't work out, then obviously there'd be a lot of questions asked afterwards. You know, people saying, "Well, why didn't you see this coming? You knew about the injuries. You knew his form had fallen off." It's a gamble. This is a roll of the dice. And whether Moyes is the kind of manager that's going to roll the dice like that, I don't know. We'll see. But I don't know if there's a part of me that, there's always that part of you that remembers the player that he is. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, there's that part of you that knows that if this works, that you can win big. So it's tempting. I won't lie. If it was put to me, I probably would roll the dice.
Yeah. And thanks to Football Manager, I won't. I have nightmares of fucking this guy. But,
I've just looked up how much he's on at Borussia Dortmund at the moment.
170.
£172,000 a week.
Yeah.
We can't
pounds.
Yeah.
Euros. Pounds.
No, pounds. We can't pay that.
No, we're not going to pay that.
No, that's what I mean.
No, you mentioned that kind of money to Sullivan. His arsehole will pucker up tighter than a snare drum.
Oh God. So Luke, now that you've heard how much he's currently making, do you think it's even possible?
Yeah, because we paid Andy Carroll 90 grand a week for about 5 years. And he played about 4 games for us, so and he probably produced actually. I think he went to Bayern Munich and he was meant to be part of the Lewandowski and Roos. They were going to buy all 3 of them, and then Roos didn't want to come. And Götze did, but he got really injury prone, or he couldn't really get into the team. He wasn't because they're another standard above. He wasn't quite at that standard. And he went back to Dortmund, but apparently he's just been injury prone all the time, which would be why West Ham are interested, because we love injury prone players. We've proved it in the past.
That's true.
But yeah, you say with Everton linked with him. I'd love to be in the room with the agent when he goes to him. You've had an offer from Everton. You had an offer from mate from West Ham. Who's managing me? Ah, well, that's quite interesting. David Moyes or Carlo Ancelotti. I can imagine going to him. Oh, Ancelotti, and who's the other guy? Who's the other guy? Is it? I don't know who he is. And then we could definitely go to him. Right, we'll pay you 190 grand a week, but over 10 years. So you'd have 20. You go no. So I don't know, but I'd take him because it would be. I think it would be like, we signed Payet for 10 million, and he was a brilliant player. He was 28 years old. We bought him. He was fantastic, but no one really knew about him. He was being brilliant in the French leagues, and assist-wise, he was crazy stats. And I think maybe if he did come, as long as we kept him fit, which is the big if for West Ham all the time, he could be a very, very good player. And the sad thing is like the comments to this a minute ago, is Lanzini, since his injury, hasn't looked anywhere near the player that we know he can be and has been. So if you're going to sell Lanzini, he'd probably be a very good replacement, but it's just keeping him fit, unfortunately. But yeah, look, you got to pay these. You got to pay these wages at some point. If we want to be a big club, you got to pay the wages that you want to. You want to pay for players, but only if we're going to achieve, because otherwise you're just paying out of pocket.
It's like
really,
you said.
Yeah, I also find it difficult to believe that West Ham and Everton would be his only suitors.
Oh, 100%.
He will draw interest from a number of teams, I would think.
This season, he only played 13 Bundesliga matches and scored just 3 goals. But that's not really – that's actually a really good ratio for him, because he's a midfielder. He doesn't really score many goals anyway. But 3 and 13, that's pretty damn good compared to what it used to be. But he also played 4 UEFA Champions League matches. He also played in a couple of cups. The International Champions Cup as well.
Yeah. Coates is not interested unless it's a winner in a World Cup final.
That's what I mean.
He did score a winner in a World Cup final.
So but we're talking about the money, in Wilshire, man, 100K. You know what I mean? If we could just eliminate that, you're halfway there. Just eliminate Wilshire, and you're halfway to Goats. So, and again, if we sell off maybe Anderson or something like that, or get rid of a Lanzini. I don't know. There you go. You're all set. Get the money. Boom. I don't know. I guess, all jokes aside, I'd probably take a punt on the guy. But I'm fucking mental, so whatever. Don't listen to what I say. All right, the last one we got here. No, that wasn't the last one. That was the last one. So Reece wants to talk a little bit about the FA Women's Super League, and it's the ultimate end of it for the season. Basically, they said that's a show, that's a wrap. They avoided it. We should want to go a little bit into that, and then again, I guess if we have time, we'll discuss the theory that Wayne instructed us on today. That Irish Tommy took notes for, so we're not going to let him waste his notes. We'll let him to discuss it. So, Reece. The woman's.
Sorry, Reece. Just before you go, just excuse me for 1 minute. I'll run to the loo and I'll come back to you.
Reece, you want to talk about the FA Women's Super League?
It was the FA Women's National League.
National League. I'm sorry.
Yeah, so it's 2 divisions below, and what the FA basically said to all the teams from step 3 to 7 is a bit like what they've done in men's non-league. We'll expunge and void your seasons and focus on the 2 leagues above. And as you know, Tim, I was speaking to the Harlow Town ladies manager, and he didn't seem too happy about it. They've been unbeaten all season. They've played 16 games and they've won all 16, and they can't get promoted. So I think this, even though we're in difficult times and you're in a time where football doesn't take priority right now, however, it just does stink of the higher ranks in the game is taking priority, I think it's disgusting. And as well, how are these teams going to feel if the WSL and the Championship continue and the teams that are first and second in their leagues can take their trophies, but the teams lower bounds can't? And it kind of leads on to the Premier League one as well with non-league, Tim. Because for me, if you're going to ban non-league, where it averages about 1,000 people, how are you then going to continue with the Premier League, even if it is behind closed doors, because of the health and safety of the players?
I just don't see. I mean, when I first heard that just the men's non-league, I mean, they were voiding it like left and right, like this league. All of a sudden, like, oh, here we go. Now it's starting from the bottom. And the longer this goes, the more I'm hoping that the Premier League does the same damn thing, because these asinine rumors about what they're gonna do, which I think Tommy really wants to talk about. It makes no sense. I understand that we discussed this before many times, and so has everybody else, but there's no one way that's going to make everybody happy. And obviously money talks, and health and safety takes secondary, really. But money talks. When you have billions of dollars at stake, hundreds of millions of dollars, pounds, whatever you want to call it.
And it's easier, Tim, to cancel people's seasons like the women's team when you know they haven't got the financial kind of clout to sue your ass.
That's what it is. So that's what we're also talking about, the non-leagues, the men's as well.
Yeah, that's why they just canceled them.
Yeah, it's fucking. I mean, I'd rather see that than playing behind closed doors or any of that shit. That makes no sense to me.
There's one team down there that I think they're about 13 points clear. Like Liverpool, you know, in the National League, is it? Like Liverpool, where they're just walking to the title.
Yeah.
And they've had their league cancelled. They're not getting their trophy. They're not getting their championship. They're not going up. And you can do that to them on a whim because they don't have the finances to sue anybody.
There's a team in non-league as well, Tim. It's Jersey, and they've won every game this season. They've secured promotion, and now they can't go up because of this decision.
And that, for smaller clubs, can fucking break them. Period. Yeah. Financially. So that sucks. But again, there's no remedy to this, man. There's no easy way around this unless we just continue to push seasons back. The next season and the season after that get pushed back or squished or something like that. There's no safe way around this. For the fact that there's
you had the latest. The idea about it is the Premier League official. Sorry, I interrupted you there, Tim. Sorry, mate.
No, it's fine. Go ahead.
The head of like UEFA have said that basically, in a hope to keep the season going at some point, by the end of June, they're thinking about setting up a World Cup style scenario where all 20 teams of the Premier League would go into camp, and it would be like they'd use training grounds rather than actual football grounds just to so they try and keep it as a close-knit thing. I think all London clubs would go to one training ground, and then northern clubs like Manchester and it was that scenario. It's basically everything they could. I think what they're thinking is if they try and play it behind closed doors in actual football grounds, people would actually come out of their homes and just go, I can't stay in my homes anymore, I've got to go and see my club play, and that would be a problem. But they'd do the same thing at training ground anyway. But that's the latest proposal, and it just seems like they're just trying to just scrape the barrel for ideas. When we've got clubs like Barnet who were down there who, because they couldn't pay any of their people behind the scenes, the people serving and anything like that, they went, no, you're out, you've got a job here or nothing like that, and it's sad.
It's fucking crazy, but it's a perfect segue because that's what we were actually leading into. Was the maniacal the thing that popped up. I mean, I listen. You either do it or you don't. No. I'm just saying though. Thank you, but I'm just saying like you either do it or you don't. This whole fucking Mickey Mouse way of trying to put these people together regionally in these one locations and what Tommy, I mean, fuck it, don't listen to me anymore. Tommy, take over again. What did you learn about this, and what are your thoughts on it? And then we'll go around.
Yeah, look, I understand where you're coming from, Tim. This all seems a bit nuts, like you say, Mickey Mouse.
I'm trying to stay sane, being with this cabin fever, and then at the same time, bullshit like this pops up, and I'm like, how can I even stay sane when I see these fucking crazy ideas? Anyway, go ahead.
Well, I wanted to just give a little bit of context to it, because context is everything, right? So the Premier League are desperate to somehow finish this season because of the implications financially of not finishing it. So on this coming Friday, all 20 Premier League clubs are having a conference call to discuss the ways in which they can finish this season. And we all know that what's been floated, we just spoke about it, right? This tournament in the Midlands, which is obviously sounds crazy and logistically just sounds like a nightmare. But for the context, this is why they're desperate, okay? Now, they're talking about doing this on the first weekend of May, and it would be concluded on the 12th of July. Now, the current broadcasting deal, which is $3 billion per year, it expires for this year on the 31st of July, and then next season's £3 billion deal would begin then the following day, so the 1st of July. The cutoff point to finish this season is July 16th, as regards the broadcasting deal that they have with Sky, BT, and international broadcasters. Okay, if it's not completed at that date, Sky Sports, BT Sport, and the international broadcasters have also paid for their packages, could demand rebates totaling £762 million. Okay, so this is serious stuff. Okay, now the clubs receive their final payment for the international broadcasting rights in May at the end of the season. Okay, now that deal it's not allocated the same way the Sky and BT money is allocated. That's allocated evenly between the teams. But the international broadcasting rights money is based on where your finishing league position is. So, for example, the champions, let's say there's Liverpool, would receive £57 million of the international broadcasting money, whereas the bottom team, let's say Norwich, would get 20 million. So if the season isn't concluded at that point, they're not, that money could well be withheld from them, from those clubs. And then you're getting in with teams like West Ham, the average teams, the richer clubs might be able to manage, but the lesser teams like ourselves would actually at that point be struggling to pay players' wages. So there's just huge implications for this thing dragging on beyond, say, July 16th or in the first place, or the end of July. If Sky and BT and the international broadcasters are looking for 762 million rebate, and plus the international broadcasters hold out on those final end of season payments as well, the implications are absolutely massive for the Premier League and for all the clubs in it. So if this seems like the Premier League are trying to come up with anything to try and get this season finished, that's why. The implications are massive. So while it may look Mickey Mouse, it may look desperate, and it is desperate, and that's why.
That's fucking ridiculous, though. I mean, the plan, though. I mean, that's listen. That was a great speech. I love the facts. I appreciate it, and it does make most sense because literally, I understand that the money it's massive, and if it doesn't go through, no matter what they do, there's going to be lawsuits anyway. We were talking about earlier, like the non-league clubs not being able to, sue anybody, and that's what they're not afraid of. That's why they've canceled the leagues already. But now you're talking Premier League clubs, you're talking leagues, you're talking like championship clubs and even League One clubs, et cetera, et cetera. Now, depending on what happens, there's going to be clubs suing all over the fucking place. So even if Liverpool gets their £57 million. Well, the league gets their money. Well, the league's now going to have to fucking fight off Leeds and fight off whoever else if they don't bring those two teams up. Okay, well, what about the teams in the playoffs down below? Oh, well, if the season finished out and we were able to do the playoffs, well, one of us could have won and we would have been in the Premier League, and where's our money? And they can sue it. It's going to be, no matter what happens, it's going to be a fucking mess, right?
I think they'll take their chances, Tim. I think if it's a choice between the two, they'll take their chances on the lawsuits from the clubs.
Can you come up with another method that they didn't come up? I mean, can you think of any other way to do what they want to do? I mean, they want to finish the season. What is your recommendation? Because, dude, this is fucking bananas.
My recommendation?
Yeah. On how to finish the season.
Well, look, let's first things first. There is no perfect solution here. No matter what they do, it's going to cause issues in some way or another, some more serious than others. I think given the implications of not completing this season, I think it needs to be completed. Almost by hook or by crook. I think even if next season had to be restructured, because you would have a chance to restructure next season to keep the likes of BT, Sky, and international broadcasters happy. You can figure out ways to give them more games. Let them broadcast, extra games, some 3 o'clock games, whatever. You can find a way to restructure it that works for everybody.
Yeah.
But if this season tanks and gets cancelled from here, then it's going to get incredibly messy, just incredibly. And like I said, the financial implications are massive. So I think even if they had to work with Sky and BT and international broadcasters and finish the season even well into the summer and say, look, we're going to just restructure next season a little bit. We'll still get our Premier League. We're just going to have to mess around with it a little bit so that you all get your games and we get our season. If that could be done, I think that should be done.
Yeah.
It can.
If there weren't any of these implications, I'd have no problem just saying, look, just
look. I'd rather see matches like held off until the summer. You know what I'm saying, and then like done 2 or 3 a week until the season finishes. Outdoors, like I'm sorry, like with fans. Once this whole bullshit goes away, I'd rather see that and us finish it that way than doing a fucking round robin tournament of fucking these teams were like this. You mentioned, was it you that mentioned or someone else mentioned? Oh yeah, they would like have like one match they would air the matches like one a fucking day or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah, apparently if they do this thing in the Midlands, that every single game would be live to placate the broadcaster.
Yeah, it's fucking crazy. But anyway, I mean, listen, what we're going to end up having to do is we're going to have to do another whole damn show just on this topic. Because
it's convoluted.
Yeah, it is, because there's so many things about it. But bottom line is, I know that we all want to see football again. We all want to see everybody healthy. We all want this shit to go away. But mostly I want more than people staying indoors and doing what they're supposed to be doing. I want them to do that. But mostly I want to see a vaccine. I want to see a cure for this damn thing. And I want to see it go away. I don't want to see people fucking beating up old people in the freaking grocery store. I don't want to see people, having to stand 7 feet apart from each other. I don't want to see any more people with these freaking masks on. I don't want to have to deal with this shit. So whatever the fucking deal is, people in the fucking planet, like, find a damn cure, find a vaccine to get this shit over with and done, get our football back so we can all have our sanity. That's another rant, you fucking asshole. I forgot, yeah. Anyway, listen, everybody stay safe. I don't know what's going on tomorrow. I don't. I know that Lee said he'd be back on Wednesday, but we shall see. He hasn't been on a little while now. But Lee might have a show on Wednesday. I don't think there's anything tomorrow, but I know. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what I know. Who knows what I know? But anyway, I want to thank Steve next to me. Steve, awesome seeing you again, my brother. Reece has got another podcast coming out tomorrow he mentioned the manager of Harlow Town, right? And we're going to place that up on our channel as well. What else is going on? Irish Tommy, hopefully have you back on between now and whenever. One of these off nights, I'll try to figure out something else that we can do earlier in the evening that we can have you on.
Always a pleasure.
Appreciate it. And Luke on from Irons United, be sure to check them out as well. Irons United is good stuff. We like those people, and we love what they do. So check them out. I'd like to thank everybody in the chat room. Thanks, brother, man. Thanks to everybody in the chat room. Charlie Walsh from Hammer's Chat, who won the most recent episode of Friday Night Lights, the tournament. And yeah, he'll be going. Yeah, he's in the tournament for sure. The lineup's all. We got 5 out of the 6 people for the second round. Next episode Sunday at 3:30 Eastern, which is 8:30 p.m. UK on Sunday. But we're going to try to fill in some stuff between now and then. But again, we don't know what to talk about. Really, there's nothing to talk about anymore. You listened to all the bullshit rumors that we were just talking about in this show. Like, what the fuck are we? You know what I mean? So anyway, maybe we should do a whole show on the convoluted bullshit that Tommy was talking about, and bring Tommy and actually have Tommy host it. That'd be great. So I can just sit back and relax for once. Anyway,
or avoid the show completely is what you mean, Tim.
I'll be like, yeah, I'll remove myself from the chat. Anyway, listen, guys, thank you so much. I'll talk to you off the air real quick in the background. But everybody else, good seeing you. Love seeing the chat going on. Like and subscribe, please, everybody. If you watch this, just subscribe. So we're on Facebook and Periscope as well. If you're watching over there, please head on over to YouTube and click subscribe. That'd be cool. Awesome. Thanks, guys. Have a great night.
Come on, you Irons.
Oh, yeah. Come on, Irons.
Stay safe, everybody.
Yeah.